Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
Are the 18 political parties ready to make sure that their candidates will be from the southern part of Nigeria? What do you think with this decision by the southern governors?
Good evening, viewers, and good evening, Ijoma.
Thank you very much.
I think the important thing is for leaders at that level is to seek the unity of the country and shy away from issues that are capable of pitching one region against the other. And an issue such as rotation of the position of presidency is capable of doing that. I think we have too many contentious issues already that we seek the intervention of leaders to resolve. Now, to add this on that list is to compound multivarious divisive issues that we are dealing with in the country. I believe that Nigerians are capable of electing a president from wherever, as long as that candidate is competent and meets their criteria of leadership. Basharon Abiola was voted in this country on a Muslim ticket. His running mate was Baba Gana Kingibe, a Muslim like him. And there was no rotatory presidency. He was contesting against a candidate that came from Kano. You could imagine that. You could imagine that the people of Kano did not vote for Tofa. They voted for Abiola.
Abiola, yes.
So there is a way in which some of these conversations really draw us back as a country. I believe Nigeria has gone beyond issue of rotatory presidency. Nigerians are able to vote for any president from anywhere at any point in time. On our return to democracy, Chief Obasanjo was voted for as president, with majority of the votes coming from the north. We have had President Jonathan. As a matter of fact, in this republic, we have had like 21 years now of interrupted democratic governance. We have had about 14 years in that 21 has produced southern leaders. But the question is, how does this
14 years southern leaders as a
president? Yeah. Out of the 21 years in this republic that we're currently experiencing. Now, but my question is, how does that address the critical question that Nigerians are confronted with right now, where the president comes from? One of the volatile issues for us as a country now is the huge unemployment situation in the country. And this affects Yorubas, Igbo, Hausa, Chiefs, and all categories of Nigerians. Between age 15 and 25, 54% of them are unemployed. Jobs are to be created, not just by federal government. You hear of initiative of the federal government to medium scale. Where are the initiative of these governors to provide jobs for the unemployed youths? These are critical things. And to be honest with you, I do not see how the discussion about where the president comes from really solves the problem that this country is. It's diversionary. And I can understand if some dodgy groups ethnic platforms are saying this, but I want to appeal to our governors that they should not lend their voice to these issues because it's capable of dividing the country. And besides that, it's purely unconstitutional. I've never seen any country that went on that track of rotatory president that came out of it as one. Yugoslavia tried to experiment with it, and you know how it ended? This was one of the things that led to ethnic cleansing in Rwanda. And at the end of the day, 16% of the population, 800,000 out of nearly 6 million Rwandans were killed. I don't think that's the road we want to travel in Nigeria. We have gone past all this. Nigerians are capable, they have demonstrated it in the past, of electing any competent person from any region. So politicians should not take us back.
But let me ask you this question, because I heard when you mentioned the days of Obasanjo, you talked about Jonathan and how the South has been president for 15 years out of 21. I'd like to also bring the late Yaradua. You remember then?
Yeah, it was.
Before Jonathan, who happens to be the vice president, took over and said, okay, let me, and people said, wear the shoes, because that is constitutional, as written in our constitution. People from the Northerners, some of them, not all of them, raised eyebrow. And they said they must complete their terms. So they need another person to complete their term. So why did this discussion not come at that time?
Look, I'm not speaking on behalf of any ethnic nationality.
I understand.
As one who took a shot at the presidency, the whole of the country is my constituency. And when governors and political leaders at that level, either at the National Assembly, come to address the nation, you must take the position of a statesman. If you are a man, or a stateswoman, if that is permitted, if you are a woman. I don't expect anyone in high office that has sworn to defend the Nigerian Constitution to engage in anything capable of dividing the country. And this is one of it. So, ethnic nationality group, Arewa Consultative Forum, Northern Elders Forum, Afenifere, and all these groups can say things like that, but it's not something I think that governors, senators, president, ministers
should come out
should talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point. People can ventilate themselves based on their perception of ethnic relations. I mean, it's within the purview of their rights and freedom of expression. But when it comes to using the office assigned by the Constitution to lay credence, that's dangerous, very dangerous. I think that's a bit out of line.
But how do you now address the issue of injustice? Because there are some minority group that feels because we've not been there. I've also heard people from the North Central said they've never, ever been in a position of a deputy or a vice president or a president. How do you address the minority question and the injustice that some of them are talking about?
Thank you so much, Ijoma. How does the rotatory presidency of the Southern governors address that? You have Yorubas who are in the North Central. You have chief people. You have Nupes. As a matter of fact, the North Central zone is home to most of these minority ethnic nationalities. Yes. These are not Fulani people. These are not mainstream Yorubas in the Southwest. So when you're talking about rotation between North and South, those people are never going to be president. They are never going to be vice president. As you have seen, since our experiment with democracy, the North Central has never produced a president or a vice
The
president.
vice president.
And yet you have some politicians putting up together campaigns and saying, oh, it's our turn. It's our turn. And those regions have had, and President Obasanjo, for instance, came from the
North Central
Southwest.
is a sub-region.
Yes.
Yes.
President Obasanjo, as I said, was elected from the Southwest region. And you also have the vice president currently from the Southwest. So in executive position in 21 years, the Southwest is going to be finishing 16 years. Yet,
out of the 21 years.
Yes, yet some politicians feel they have a legitimate ground to make such argument. But to be honest with you, I'm not joining issues at that level because there is a way in which when you get into these arguments, people will come with various strands and it's an argument that leads to nowhere. I mean, what is clear for me is from the history of political contest in Nigeria that Nigerians on a good day don't care about where the president comes from. The same Nigeria voted Chief M.K. Abiola, even with a Muslim running mate. They didn't care. They were looking at his program. They were looking at the hope that this gave Nigeria. And I think what leaders need to do now, all of us as political leaders, we need to give hope to the people who have suffered so much. We're talking about unemployment. A lot of young people are frustrated. 54% of that age group, they have no job.
15 to 25.
15 to 24. 54.
24. What about 25
and these are
to 40?
tech-savvy young people.
They are very intelligent.
They have phones, they have laptops.
Yes.
And you cannot shout them down.
Yes.
You can't intimidate them. You have to, as political leaders, you have to come with concrete programs to address. And your ranting about where the president comes from does not address that issue. I believe this is where we need to concentrate our energy on concrete issues. How do we provide jobs? And look, you see a lot of public officers. Somebody has a convoy
of cars,
of Toyota Jeeps. The least cost is 50 million for each one of them.
Bulletproof.
Now, when you are talking about the top range, it could be like 150 million with bulletproof. And then you have a public officer having 10 of that in his convoy. That's almost like ₦1 billion. When you had the bulletproof, maybe 2, the backup and all that. 50 million can create small-scale industry that can give 100 people jobs. And you can imagine in $1 billion, we are talking about jobs for almost 1,000 people. That is what somebody is riding while going on. And there are desperate young people. No, so we don't even have a modest lifestyle. But when you create conversations that distract people from the real issues like this, nobody is going to ask you, why are you riding about ₦1 billion of public money? For God's sake, the Prime Minister of UK has only one car and a backup car. And ministers and National Assembly members come in public trains, all right, and tubes to work. So why is it that a country that is rated as almost the second in terms of on the hierarchy of unemployed people right now by a study that Bloomberg conducted, out of 80 countries that were studied, Nigeria is second. Nigeria is second to Namibia. Nigeria has 33.3%, Namibia 33.4%. Now, so there is no conversation about that. You don't find that in any communique of governors, whether they are northern or southern governors. All the issues you hear about is where is the power going to rotate to? Where is it going to be a Muslim? Those, as far as I'm concerned, are not issues that real Nigerians are interested in. These are the political agenda of politicians to distract from the real issues.
So you feel that they need to talk about how to get the youth out of the streets? What about the issue of insecurity too?
Well, you know, we spoke a lot
Yes, the last time, yes.
I've been here like twice.
Yes.
Once last year and then early this year. And we spoke about insecurity. In the entire communique that you read out, the only issue that I think for me was a serious issue that the southern governors raised was the issue of security. And even before their meeting, you know, in my 6-point agenda, I had proposed that we needed state and local government police. Because when you send in the army and they do the yeoman's job, displace the insurgents, now you need some civil force to occupy the space. Otherwise, the insurgent will always return. And because the police is centralized at the national level, the capacity to deploy and even collect information on a day-to-day basis. Imagine a state like Niger State, you know, where one of the local government is, I think, bigger than the whole of Ekiti State. But you don't even have 40 policemen in that local government, you know. But if states can create their own police and fund them, and not just states, local government too, because crime is best dealt with at municipal level, as you have even in countries that claim to be unitary states, like United Kingdom. There's a sufficient level of decentralization in policing that makes the activity to be at the community and local government level. So I agree with the governors on this, or they're saying what I said some 6 months ago. And to be quite candid, we must also, you know, recognize that the House of Reps already, you know, put up a bill on this matter for a second, and I really congratulate them from rising up to the occasion and putting it to the National Assembly for debate. So I believe that this will help, you know, in trying to at least show that, I mean, people are doing something, you know, to address that point. But the other recommendations that I made in dealing with insecurity, they are still as valid as we made them 6 months ago. And they are still as urgent as 6 months ago. They need to be looked at, they need to be pursued to stabilize the security, of the country. For instance, you have the external content of this insecurity, you know, the inflow of people, you know, from other countries into Nigeria. And the kind of diplomatic framework that government needs to construct so as to address that. And the prioritization of resources of the foreign ministry to ensure that a lot more resources, you know, is thrown to the Sahel. You know, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Chad, what's happening in the neighboring countries here.
You talked about people voting from the north for Abiola and all that. In this Nigeria that we have today, Nigeria, the reality before us, do you think that is possible again?
Yes.
So the northern politician and voter will be happy to say, I'm going to vote for somebody from the south. And the southern politician and their supporters will say, no matter what it takes, we will vote massively for this person. You think with the situation in the country today, that is possible?
Well, you see, the electorate really are not in this game. It's just some politicians that are driving this narrative, you know. An average Nigerian wants water, good roads, and they're asking for simple things. Security, and what have you. I think we're more united than some politicians are making it look. Let me give you an example. The slot in the Supreme Court for Kebbi State is today occupied by a woman who is originally Deltan. Okay? Mrs. Augie. Justice. She started her career in the old Sokoto. And you wouldn't ever hear Kebbi people say, she's not from Kebbi.
Because they welcome her.
They welcome her.
And you are also from Kebbi.
Yes, originally from Kebbi.
Yes.
I grew up in Kwara, Niger, you know, and I've done my politics in the North Central zone, but originally from Kebbi. Okay. But Kebbi people will never go to the National Assembly to say, we don't have a slot in the Supreme Court. This woman is from Delta, she only married here. The elders of Kebbi. So, but politicians can raise anything for mischief when it's time for politics. I mean, in the days of old, Kalu Anya was justice in Borno, and we had people who are Yorubas who were training judges in the northern states. I think we are allowing the politics of the country to degenerate
and divide us.
And divide us by the way we are giving the platform to politicians who generally really don't have anything to offer. I mean, some of these politicians, apart from the fact that they say I'm a Yoruba or Igbo, why would anybody vote for them? You want to probe into their history? And so the moment you make the narrative ethnicity and religion, you continue to take this country down. And you are not going to have quality leadership. The day Rwanda stopped talking about Hutu and Tutsi, see the advancement Rwanda has made today. Europe was in that darkness between 1930 and, 1630 and 1648. All right? They were fighting on the basis of Catholics versus Protestants. That was called the era of darkness in European history. The moment they got out of that, they became a powerhouse. Now, quarreling about tribe and ethnicity is a journey to nowhere. It takes you nowhere.
All right, let's, I think I'm having some messages here. Sorry, we need to just check what we have for our viewers. If you want to be part of this, just send us a message. Okay, let's take this one coming from Ima Onwe. It said, the position of the Southern governors on rotational presidency should be applauded and upheld by all men of good conscience. He said God conscience, but I think he wanted to say good conscience. Today, Nigeria is plagued with myriad of problems and challenges, majorly occasioned as a result of injustice. Justice and fairness demands a Southern presidency and by extension, Southeast Nigeria. Thank you, the honorable guests. It's coming from Ima Onwe from Kabosa in Abuja.
I don't have any problem.
That's a Nigerian
I don't have any problem with a Southeastern president or a president from anywhere. All I'm saying is that what Nigeria needs now is a truly Nigerian president. A president that sees the entire country as his constituency. All right? We didn't have that kind of conversations when President Abiola was running.
Yes.
I mean, everybody anyway said that this is a good man.
But
This is a good man.
The nation, the Nigeria then, and the Nigeria today, where even somebody is already commenting, there's so much fear. Well, I think we are trying to, the government is trying to see how they can work on that from the state level as well as the federal government. People are afraid. You hear of banditry, this is pure
failure of leadership.
You don't compare that to what happened then.
This is pure failure of leadership at various levels. And it's not just at the national level, even at the states level. You're right. Now you don't even have a local government system again.
That is it. So
it's completely wiped off.
And you don't think
and not wiped off by northerners, wiped off by every governor
whether from the
north
or from the south.
Or the south. They are all sitting on the neck.
But don't you think it will affect
now,
election pattern, voting pattern in 2023?
So, and that's not another problem. That's a general Nigerian problem. And I don't see how Southern or Northern presidency resolves that. What you need is a patriotic leadership that sees the whole country as its constituency.
Yes.
Whether you are Igbo, Yoruba
or Hausa.
And that was the path that Nnamdi Azikiwe, Chief of Abemi Awolowo, and others were
even
taking
up to
the country.
The days of Abiola.
Yeah, we are taking the country to. Unfortunately, I think we have some setback. But having a setback does not mean that we are not able to recover. Look at Rwanda. They killed 16% of their population. If you prorate that to Nigeria, it will be like killing 32 million people.
But we're not praying to get there. That's not our prayer.
We are not praying to get there. And if you don't want to go there, don't go the road that led Rwanda to that place. The conversation about is the turn of Hutu to be president, and the man was acting and he died in a blunt explosion, and everybody said, hey, some people killed him because they didn't want our man to be president. And the slaughter started. I'm saying don't go that way. That way will only lead to disaster and ethnic cleansing. So how is that a just way? A way that is capable of leading to the death of millions of people. How is that an equitable way? I want justice. I want equity. I have fought for justice and equity all my life. But division has no place in justice and equity. It has no place in justice and equity. It's a road to disaster. Anywhere you encourage division on ethnic and religious basis is a road to disaster. And we need to pull back. And I'm saying if Rwanda, with all that tragedy, can pull back. We are not there yet. So don't let us go there. Let's apply a brake. Let's have some genuine measure to address perceived inequalities. And there are a lot of mechanisms for doing that, even in our constitution. I mean, you have things like the Federal Character Commission. Every state is represented in the Federal Character Commission.
Do they respect that?
Well, have you ever seen a report where somebody from Southeast, who is a commissioner or whatever, ever came out to say, look, I'm challenging this? And you make it look like we have not been in government before. We were part of the political process in 1999.
Yes.
And we were not rubber stamped. When things were wrong, we spoke out. Now, if you have leaders who represent your constituency, who are incapable of representing you well, that's not the fault of Nigeria. It's your fault. Don't send people who cannot represent you to the National Assembly. Don't send them to Federal Character Commission. Send the best people who can stand for you. All right. So if you do that, some of these things we call passive injustice or inequality can be corrected within the framework of established constitution. And I believe with decentralization of power, which I'm an advocate of, that the states should have some level of control over their resources. So everybody will not just be jumping about what is coming to federal revenue. If we decentralize, some of these issues are going to be tackled right at the local level. There will not be a contestation for the small thing that is happening at the center.
And nobody will battle to become president because you'll be comfortable in your own state.
You understand? And that was the case in the First Republic. Sir Ahmadu Bello was not interested in being Prime Minister of Nigeria. He was a minority man from the north, a Gere man, that became, not the Fulani man, that became Prime Minister. Sir Ahmadu Bello was content with being the Premier of Northern Region. He didn't want to be he didn't want to be prime minister. It was not his aspiration.
So this will solve...
The first president was Nnamdi Azikiwe,
yes,
an Igbo man from the southeast. All right? And in the First Republic, when Nnamdi Azikiwe was president, virtually every service chief in Nigeria was from the southeast. And nobody said we were going to secede because of that. It was taken within the context of the understanding of that period. All right. Under President Jonathan, virtually every security chief was from the South and Southeast. Nobody raised any banner of secession. So I think we choose to remember some things and we don't like to remember some things. And I am not for Igbo or for Hausa or for Yoruba. I'm for one Nigeria. All right? And I believe that even those who are causing all these divisions, they know better. Because they have children who are in the United States,
they don't have their
UK,
kids, yeah.
They don't ask them, where are you from?
Yes.
Some of them could even become mayor, could become, if they were born in the US, they could become president of the United States. Right here from Africa. Like Obama.
But when they have this,
when
they have this in their family circle, their children don't even ask, where are you from? Because I've observed that Nigerians, when they meet themselves outside the shores of the country, they see themselves as brothers, whether you're from the north or from the south.
Now, so it is only
why are they not using it here this time?
Don't give them the platform to use that to divide you. Because when they are sharing money, they don't ask, where are you from? They don't say, oh, this one is Igbo, I'm not going to get my cut. Everywhere will be quiet. But when it's time for political campaigns, then it is our turn, it is our turn. And now we have to stop this nonsense and focus on the real issue. Whether somebody comes from Southwest or Southeast, how does that solve the problem of unemployment right now? How many jobs are being created in the Southeast right now by Southeast governor? How many jobs are being created in Southwest by Southwest governor? How many jobs are being created by in Northeast by Northeast governor? This should be the questions. But the narrative is not about that. And we need to get the narrative out of that corner for us to have good governance.
All right. Let's go to our messages, and we'll take one or two of them, and we'll come back to studio for the last, the final part of this discussion. I have this one coming from Ajata Olajide Joseph. It says, good evening, IG. I don't understand what is happening in Nigeria. We still talk of 2023, why the nation there are banditry, kidnapping, killings, and the politicians as well as governments seem not to care. That what Ajata is saying. He said the politicians and government seem not to care. Well, God will help. Then Obasa Alaba, I do like the way this man is speaking. He speaks from his point of nationalism, but forget to point out some of the issues that leads to this call for Southern president. This present government, according to him, not my words, is saying that the present government has polarized the nation and does many damages to the unity of Nigeria. Those are your opinions. And Prince Eddie is also sending messages. Prince Eddie Uka, good evening, Ijoma. Zoning of the presidency to the southern part of Nigeria is the right thing to be done, at least to reduce the tension in the country. If the northern part of Nigeria go ahead to produce president again, it will further spur agitation. That's what A is saying. He said, I'm pleading with the major political parties to zone presidential ticket to southern Nigeria for equity and justice. Your guest said Nigerians are not bothered about where the president is from. That is true. Not when a president of this country said we should not expect him to deliver dividends of democracy equally, considering the fact that some people voted for him than others. Thanks, Prince Eddie. Finally, on this part, we take this one coming from Olusensa, I think I can pronounce those Yoruba names. Okay, let me just call you Olusheye Israel. It says, Ijoma, good evening. Electoral law and petroleum industry bills are issue and matters that we're talking separately. This will allow guests to do better justice to the matter. Please let us, okay, that was an earlier message. Okay, he said, your guest speaks like Nigeria still remains what it was in 1993. He said the politics of today is that which had killed the sense of unity in Nigeria. Now, what we need now is even a total restructuring because of current situation. That's exactly what you're saying, that they should decentralize. That's what Nigeria needs.
Well, you know, there are some cliches in the air. So, except you mention those cliches, some people don't feel comfortable or they don't get it. Now, when I say all governors and states should control
the resources
in the inland basins, and then the ones that are offshore for the federal government, it's actually more serious than what the southern governors are asking for. They're asking for more of the revenue sharing. It's more fundamental.
They're not talking about resource
control. But
control.
simply because I didn't say restructuring, that's the fad, they can't get it. All right? Now, the discussion about decentralization as a way to have a balanced federation has been on the card since during military rule, when we had the National Consultative Forum, and my position has not changed on that. It will give more revenue to the states, but restructuring and regionalism, which some people are calling for, I don't subscribe to that. I mean, the people of Rivers State fought to have Rivers State from the old Eastern region. Isaac Adakaboro led the guerrilla warfare. So you can't come and cancel this and say everybody becomes one region. You had what Chief Clark said over the weekend. Say, where are the South people? Now, so some people think that Nigeria is made up of Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausas. They don't even think that there are other people in this country. This country has 350 ethnic groups, and they just think once you've addressed the Igbo question and the Hausa question, you've solved everything. Our current federal system is better than regionalism. The only thing we need to do is to decentralize power. Take too much power in the center. Take them to the states and the local government. We don't have to compound the issue by going back to regionalism. We have left that place, and we should march forward as a country. I believe in justice, I believe in equity, but I also believe in one Nigeria. Okay. And I believe that justice is achievable within one Nigeria. We just need to work for it and work harder than we have ever worked before as political leaders.
Okay. Before I let you go, let me just throw in this question, at least in less than 30 seconds. You may want to make one or two comments on the issue of electronic transmission of results, because you contested in 2019. Look, you may still be contesting.
Well, I'm participating in the political process, so definitely we are going to be concerned about the fairness of the process. Okay. I participated and we saw the, but you know, electoral act is always politics in a period of transition. I mean, the PDP, when it was organizing the election under Maurice Iwu, organized a worse election than even any election we have seen since that time. So I believe that the ruling party will want to have an advantage. The opposition
will also organize a worse election.
You know, no,
because you said those ones had their own.
No, I said the ruling party.
Worse election. So if the ruling party is trying to organize, let me not put words in your mouth. So
yeah, it's better you don't do that, and allow me to speak for myself. Okay. Anyway, whichever way it goes, at the end of the day, let's just keep the peace, you know, and let's have all the debates, let's have all the pushes and pushback, and let's keep Nigeria peaceful and united.